Is an unorthodox live stream. Probably nobody knows that I'm live because nobody is watching. But you got to start talking on a live stream. You got to start talking immediately. You can't wait until you get a bunch of people. So you have to just I can't not talk until people start coming on to the live stream. You know what I'm saying? I can't not say something. I have to say something until people start to populate the show. Now, this is going to be just a 1 hour live stream. I want to try to be done by, let's say, 10:15. We have Tim coming tonight. Tim is coming tonight to the auction and the race night. So we got Tim coming, and we have UNM. UNM will be here. So we will have it's going to be an exciting night. We've got Tim Young will be here. We got UNM will be here. And we should have a fun show tonight. Now, I want to explain something. I want to explain something to everybody. And I wanted people to, and we're going to take advantage of this. We're going to emphasize this in some commercials and on YouTube. So we want to, I'm going to wait until we get a little bit more people on here. And then I'm going to kind of explain something to people. Now, some people might know this. Some people might not know this. Let me, all right, so let's wait until we get some more people on the live stream. Let's wait until we get a little bit more live people here. Sounds like a good time. Tonight's going to be really fun. We've got Tim Young is going to be here around 3. And we've got UNM will be here tonight at 5 o'clock for the race. So we're going to have some fun with UNM, because UNM, Ted Baker in Michigan, he's a very, what do you call it? Gosh, what do you call that type of person that doesn't like to really be around people? Introvert. That's right. Ted Baker once came to me and said, or he was at the house one day, and I said, hey, let's do. He goes, no, Bryan, you don't understand. I'm an introvert. Okay. I do not like a lot of people. Okay. I like my little area. So, I said, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know that, because normally you're on the live stream commenting a lot of times. And he said, well, I don't mind doing that. It's just, I just don't like being around people. You should get Tim to paint a car and auction it off for his charity. That's a good idea. Matter of fact, I'll have a car ready for him to paint. Matter of fact, that's a good idea. I'm going to send a message to him. Okay. So, okay, Chucky B just recommended I'm going to have a car and I'm going to have a bunch of paint ready for you because you're going to paint a car on Livestream, and then we're going to auction it off that evening for your charity, okay? So be ready, coming up with an idea of what colors you want, because I'll have all the paints all laid out. They won't be acrylic or enamel, they'll be acrylic, so you'll be able to do a good paint job. And the car will be white, okay? All you have to do is paint it, and we'll auction it off that night for your charity. There we go. Okay, so we're going to have that going on tonight. Plus, we've got pizza and Coke. We're going to have pizza and Coke, so everybody will be able to dip their Coke in, or pizza and Coke, okay? And we've got, and so, I had something going on last night. I bought, when I was when I had to go to Menards, and I bought some chocolate covered peanuts, and I had a whole jar full of them in the shed near the refrigerator. And I looked at them last night, and I noticed a bunch of them were gone. And so I said, oh, maybe Xavier ate them, because Xavier loves chocolate. Well, he said he got a peanut allergy, and I said, well, yeah, he can't have those. And he can't eat the Reese's peanut butter cups. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get everything that has peanuts in it. So then I know he won't eat them. So then I bought, see, here's the thing I know about Xavier, okay? And it's funny about people, how, I was his age at one time. I was 23 at his age one time in the Navy, and I ate nonstop. So I went and bought groceries on Monday night. I went to Walmart and got some groceries, and I bought a bunch of hot dogs, cheese dogs. I love Oscar Mayer cheese dogs. They're really good. And so I bought them. Maybe it was Tuesday night. It's Thursday already. And so I looked at the refrigerator yesterday, and I said at lunch, I was making lunch for David and Frank, and I noticed the hot dogs were open, and 4 of them were already gone. I go, how could somebody eat 4 of the hot dogs already? And they told me that Xavier ate them. Now, I don't know if he ate all 4, but that wouldn't doubt me, because the guy eats this much bologna. It's amazing. Now, see, when he turns 40, his metabolism is going to shut down. And holy moly, it's unbelievable the amount of, I'm gonna go broke. All right, so now we've got Derek telling me I have to be funny. Okay, well, Derek, one thing you have to understand, Derek, I don't have to be funny more, because I have Ryan in Cleveland that says that I don't have to be funny. I just have to be myself. Ryan in Cleveland. So, Derek, you better watch it, Derek, because you've got competition, okay? Now, all right, so I have 17 people, and so I can kind of explain to you why we are going to try to coast through the rest of this year, and we're going to try not to spend money. We're going to try. And we are going to live off of our inventory, because here's some facts that have come clear to me that I knew about, but all of a sudden it just kind of clicked on me. Okay, and so I wanted to give you guys a time frame of when retailers buy and when things get into stores. Now, you will notice when summertime right now, all of the summertime items have already shipped. They are already in the store, okay? So if you are wanting to buy something for summertime, May, June, July, most of August, that stuff is already shipped. It's already been received into the United States. It's already been distributed to all of the major distributors and all the major retailers, okay? All of that stuff has already been shipped into the United States way before the tariff thing, okay? And that stuff was bought last year, okay? Now, the next stuff, which is not shipped yet, this is stuff that's still sitting in China, is all of your school supplies. So let me tell you right now, if you want to get school supplies, you want to get paper, pens, you want to go to stores that and get it now, because if you go to in August, okay, and let's say the tariffs thing is finished today, let's say today, that stuff is still not going to be here. It might be, if it's shipped tomorrow, it might be here for August, or it might be here September, and then October. So any of the Christmas items, or not Christmas, but the Halloween items. Now, unless somebody thought ahead, then pre-ordered stuff in, but that stuff is basically still sitting in China. Okay, all of your Halloween and your school supplies, unless somebody had a smart idea and shipped all that stuff pre-tariff, okay, and it had already been shipped, okay. Now, Walmart could have done that. They could have been smart enough to say, you know what, let's get ahead of everything in 2025, all right. Let us ship everything that we've ordered for 2025. Let's ship it now, and we'll just warehouse it until the time hits, because you will notice that when you go into a Walmart in, let's say, mid-June, maybe even mid-July, you'll all of a sudden start seeing school supplies. School's not even, we're still in summer. And then when you get into, end of September or mid-September or even end of August, sometimes you'll start to see Halloween stuff or the fall items, start hitting the shelves. And then, 10 days after Halloween, okay, all of a sudden you're seeing Christmas stuff get in, okay? All this stuff, a lot of it is still sitting in China. And that's what Bill was telling me. So Bill is one of my distributors, and that's IMAX. So if you want to get a good RC car for Christmas, you better get it now, because I'm here's the thing. I am fully stocked with RC cars. I mean, I am like 100% stocked with RC cars. Okay? We have good prices too on RC cars. I've got every RC car you could want. If you have a teenager or a kid between the ages of 7 and 21, I've got an RC car for them. I've got an RC car. You just tell me what age, Brian, and I'll say, okay, get that car. I got RC tanks. I got the Rippers. We've got everything. Okay. Now, are we gonna? Am I gonna be liquidating certain items? Yeah, we're gonna slowly move out of certain items and just concentrate on. We're gonna concentrate on things that are gonna really do good for us. Okay. We are gonna try to get in more connection with IMAX, because IMAX has a lot of. He says, he's got over $2 million worth of inventory that could ship, which is great, because the next 6 months are going to be. Oh, and this is another thing I noticed. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe this. Actually, this was actually amazing. I went to Costco yesterday, and you're going to start seeing this more and more. Okay. You are going to start seeing this more and more. I was in Costco, and go to your local Costco and see if I'm wrong. And I'm going down the food aisle, or I'm just looking around, and all of a sudden I see this bag of chocolate with Japanese writing. I've never seen anything Japanese in Costco. I'm just telling you that right now. I'm seeing all this, and I see this bag of chocolate. Okay, yes, I know. I was excited to see this bag of chocolate. But it had Japanese on it. So I turned it upside down, and I looked. It said made in Japan. And I'm thinking, now, so I'm thinking, I'm thinking now, wow. Okay, so how does and let me tell you something right now. If you think that China makes or they have the capital of toys in China, there's one country that loves to make toys, okay? And they make a ton of toys in Japan. I'm going to tell you that right now. And so, I'm almost thinking now, am I going to see more items that are more toy items at Costco that aren't made in China, and that maybe they've sourced out other locations for toys? Is that going to bring a new type of toy to America? Listen, if we think we have the Mattel and Hasbro had the market sewn on toys, you're solely mistaken. Japanese make, like for example, here's a typical Japanese toy. Okay, now this is and these are collectibles, and this is the my favorite. As a kid, I used to watch this. Not as a kid, but in the Navy, Gamera, and in the song, the Gamera song, that little kid, he would be chasing Gamera, and Gamera would help him solve his problems. So that's Gamera. There are so many the type of toys that are available in Japan, okay, and model kits is just unbelievable, okay. And okay, first of all, let me explain something to you. Adam said that he had brought Amish-made peanut butter cookies, okay? That's what he told me when I was getting there on Friday. He did, Bryan, I got you Amish-made peanut butter cookies. I said, oh, great. Now, I don't necessarily like peanut butter cookies only unless they're homemade. That big difference, okay, of homemade peanut butter cookies and peanut butter cookies made at an Amish place. The number one reason why a peanut butter cookie, unless it's homemade, is the very simple aspect of you take the cookie once you've got and unless they figure out how to do this mass production, they'll never be able to do it. And that's why peanut butter cookies that are bought at a store are not as good as a homemade peanut butter cookie. And do you know why? Can anybody tell me why a peanut butter cookie that you buy at any store and everything are not as good as homemade cookies? There's one key factor. There's two key factors that make a home baked peanut butter cookie different. Does anybody have any idea? I'm waiting. Nope, it's not fresh. It's not fresh. Red dye. No, not red dye 40. I'm telling you, this is the reason. Nope, it has nothing to do with preservatives. Nope. And this is why peanut butter cookies that are store bought are not as good. Nope. They're not fat. Nope. So, I'll tell you right now. And all you have to do is go to a store, go to look anywhere you see peanut butter cookies. If they don't have this feature, okay, Chinese peanut butter, nope. Real peanut butter, made with love, nope. It's a special. You do this to the cookie before you put it into the oven. Fake news. when you mash them with a fork. Yes, you mash them with a fork. You take a fork. Let's say you have the ball of first. The ball you roll into a ball. This is what my mom always did. You take the balls, you put them on the sheet, and you take a fork and you push them down. you double press them on both sides. Then you sprinkle a little sugar on them. And then you put them in the oven. If they don't have a double fork on them, don't buy them. Don't buy them. Don't buy them. Has ever seen Bryan Cena? Not me. Never, Bryan never met a cookie he couldn't eat. I use a spoon. Well, Chucky B, you don't use a spoon, number one, okay? All right, so.
Bryan, I could easily make a cookie that you'll refuse to eat.
Why do I listen to him? Unbelievable. All right, so that's why, and Adam lied to me. Number one, the peanut butter cookies weren't real peanut butter cookies, number one. Number two, they were not Amish peanut butter cookies. Okay, do you know where he bought them from? Meyer peanut butter cookies. And I'm telling you, Meyer, Walmart, all these places, their peanut butter cookies are not done correctly. You want to make a peanut butter, they're too flat. That's number one. They need to be short, stubby with the forks in them. I'm telling you, it solidifies the cookie. It gives the cookie a specific feature in which it molecularly cooks and bonds, okay? All right. Now, let's get back to the tariffs. So what's going on here with the tariffs is that you're going to see, which I think is exciting, okay? You're going to see more product, okay, from different countries coming into the United States. They want our markets. They want to sell their products to 240 million Americans. Okay, so if you're a cookie company, okay, or a chocolate company in Japan, and all of a sudden the tariffs are being negotiated, okay, and they're coming down, that means that, hey, you know what? We could sell a ton of our chocolate to America at Costco. We could sell, over 1 million bags. And they're thinking, holy cow, that's an American market. Oh, that's right. America is the largest retail market in the world. If you think China is let me put it this way. If you think China is a real economic power, you are sadly mistaken, okay? Sadly mistaken, okay? There's only 4 or 5 parts of China that are really, have an economic boom, okay? But the rest of the country is in poverty, okay? Now, and people have said, even the lowest poverty Americans, okay, are 10 times higher than even the best person in China. Because not every Chinese has, they buy all these tofu buildings that aren't ever finished. So what I'm saying is that we're going to see, okay, let's see. Tim just responded. Okay, what freaking charity? I don't need a charity. Tell Chucky B I'm not coming over there to paint. I could stay home and paint. I'm coming to have fun. Ha ha. I'm sorry, Chucky B. But Tim just wrote that message. He said to Chucky B, tell Chucky B I'm not coming over here to paint. I could stay home and paint. I'm coming to have fun. Quote, ha ha, with a smiley face, okay? So I'm sorry that you got, Chucky B, I'm sorry you got Tim upset, Chucky B, but so what I noticed at Costco yesterday, and I noticed this a lot, there was a lot of different type of products at Costco, okay? And what that is telling me is that we are going to see new product at Costco this year. There's one thing, and I've said this a million times, okay, and that's why we're doing what we're doing, okay? You never underestimate. Team Peanut Patch will be ready to race tonight. All right, so we've got UNM Team Peanut Patch. He's going to have peanut butter cookies. UNM is going to make me peanut butter cookies. That's a good idea. We got UNM. Japanese is very big quality control. Oh yeah, they're obsessed with quality control. That's funny. That's the difference between Japanese and Chinese product. Somewhat in Korean. Korean, they're not so obsessed with, they still have quality control problems. But the one thing about Japan is they are obsessed with quality control. Now, that wasn't the case in the early 50s and 60s. They did make a lot of stuff, but it was back. I remember back in the 70s. It was always Japanese junk. We're gonna get Japanese junk, and then it kind of now it was Chinese junk. But yes, quality control on, and that's why if you ever buy, let me go show you one. The Bandai is probably Bandai and Tomy. Bandai and what's the other company I'm trying to think of? Bandai and Tamiya. Bandai Tamiya. You cannot buy a better model kit than Bandai or Tamiya. Okay, that's just all there is to it. Okay, like for example, this right here. This is a Gundam Wing. Okay, this is a Gundam Wing model kit. Okay, and this is Bandai. Okay, this is probably the most highest quality, and it's pre-painted. Okay, and it's Bandai Spirits Japan. All of this is made in Japan. Okay, you cannot get a better model kit than these Gundam model kits. These are highly detailed, fully molded plastic, okay? And these are basically, the Gundam Wing was probably the most popular comic system, or comics next to Star Blazers. Or Battleship Yamamoto. My favorite my favorite cartoon from Japan was Space Blazers in the 80s. When I was in the Navy, I started Yamamoto. It was my favorite. I loved watching that ship because I love the Yamamoto. I love it just as a ship. Okay, so let's see here if I can get one of these where I can show you. Okay, so I can slide these bands off, okay? And so I'm going to show you, well, even this one here is, now this is a completely finished unit, but you want to get your kid a model kit, just go and type in Bandai on ProTinkerToys, okay? So here is the quality that you get in a Bandai model kit. So here's what's really amazing. Okay, so they have a molding machine. Okay, this is what's really staggering. They have a molding machine that basically has 3 different cavities that is allowing 2 different colored plastics to be injected in the same mold. Okay, and it's making all these parts, but are 2 different colors. Okay. Not only that, but it comes with all the parts, every component to build this Gundam kit. And it's fully articulated, okay? All these parts. You want to have a model kit that you want to build from scratch. Where do you think Transformers came from? Japan. okay, of robots in disguise. And wouldn't you take an American company, Hasbro, to ruin it? So this is a Gundam, Buster Gundam, AFT mobile suit. There's basically a guy inside here, and this is the Gundam. Okay. You had Gundam, and then you had my next favorite was Macross Saga. Okay, which I have some of those models too. I bought 1 million of those. I think I have some here. And that's Macross Saga, which comes with the SDF, which is a giant space city, and then turns into a robot. Okay, it's huge. It's got and it has giant aircraft carriers for arms. Let me see if I have those here. And we have tons of Gundam too. All you have to do is go to the website and see Gundam. Let me see if I have those. And they're little tiny models too. I don't think I have any here. And then we have the Bandai Woody, completely articulated, completely colorized. The Woody. So it doesn't look like I have those. They weren't. They're Bandai, and they're basically little. And that's the Gundam all these are on our website, okay? Okay, let's see here. Here's the best one we have, this one right here. Check this out. I think this has over 600 parts. This thing is absolutely mammoth. And it's $129. You want to get the ultimate model kit? This is it, the Gundam. Gundams are, this is so popular. Along with Macross Saga, Captain Harlot, Captain Scarlet, great Japanese anime. There's one thing the Japanese do good, and that is animation. Matter of fact, a lot of American companies now, obviously Disney started it back in 1930, okay? But you know what America likes to do is likes to ruin something. And you can get on, and everybody thinks that Lion King is this, revolutionary. No, the Japanese came out with it called Simba, and I used to watch it in the 70s. And it was basically a lion just like the Lion King. They copied every scene from Simba to put into the Lion King. Go look at the video on YouTube. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm trying to see if I have the other mother kits. Because they're... I don't think I have those other model kits here. But Bandai is a very popular company. And that's just another, it's almost like Costco. You want to sell out, and that is just contact Bandai and order about 10,000 of these. And then you'd sell every single one of them. In Bandai that's the other company, which is Tamiya. We carry a lot of Tamiya paints, okay, but we also carry the Tamiya RC cars, and because I like model kits, I think the Tamiya RC cars are so superior to anything else on the market because you're actually building an RC car. Like, for example, this one right here. Now, you have to buy the servo and all that stuff, but you're actually putting this together. Now, you're not only building this, but you're building the transmission, all the gears to the transmission. You're building the shock absorbers. You're building everything from scratch, okay? Everything you're doing, you're building, okay? You're putting this whole car together, and that is Tamiya. And Tamiya makes highly detailed airplanes, model kits, cars, tanks, ships. Tamiya's Waterline series model kits are probably the best model kits ever, okay? And all that stuff is made in Japan. That's one thing they have never outsourced to China. Why would you outsource? Oh, I'm thinking to myself, okay, guys, how many of you guys, and I know there's some people that probably disagree, but how many of you guys are pro-America? That you love this country? How many of you guys are out there? You love this country. Give me a thumbs up. You love this country. Well, that's one. Nobody. Okay, we got one thumbs up. So Rod Rodriguez says he loves this country. I am. Okay, that's two. Okay. Well, why wouldn't you want more companies in America? Why would you want more stuff made in America? Now, we could have stuff made in China and Japan, and as long as it's all fair, okay? As long as it's all fair. Do you know how much, and this is what's amazing too, people don't realize we live in our own little 10-year span, okay? We live in our little bubble and we think that, but listen, I've been, not that I've been all over, but I've been around, okay? I've been everywhere. I've been on the Navy. I've been overseas. I've looked at retailers overseas. I've seen things, and I've been over. So here's one thing that happened to me when I was in the Navy, okay? And I just want to tell you this story, just from the standpoint that why don't we have? There's lots of things that have oppressed America and are allowing things to come in. Everybody wants to secure their border. They don't want to export. They want to lock in. America had said, listen, if you bring your stuff, yeah, we'll bring it. And what happened was our politicians just say, okay, well, what about their countries? And nobody allowed our products to their countries. So what happened was we were ending, I think we were ending our patrol, and we decided we were patrolling, off the coast of Africa, and we decided that we were going to have a liberty. They were giving us liberty in Barbados in the West Indies, and so we sailed all the way to Barbados, West Indies.
Do you know where that is?
What is it?
Car lift.
Oh, it's 3D Creations. You got to talk to Daniel, because you got those stuff from the show. So we go to Barbados and we spend the weekend in Barbados, and I'm driving. This is 1981, okay, and I'm driving around in all these small minivans. Yeah, minivans before they came to America. And this has to be 1980. I don't know. And I'm driving in this minivan, and I'm saying to myself, why don't we have these in America? Why don't we have these little minivans in America? These are awesome little vehicles. Why can't we get these in America? And then all of a sudden, Chrysler decided to come out with the minivan, the Chrysler minivan, the Caravan. And that just revolutionized vans in America. Okay. Okay, gas was $5. Okay, gas was $5. Okay, gas was $5 for gas back in the No, in the 70s. Are you kidding? Gas was 62 cents a gallon when I went in the Navy in 1979. Gas was 79 cents. Do you understand? Gas was, okay, let me explain this to you guys. Gas was 79 cents in 79 when I went in the Navy. Oh yeah, you're probably right. It was in Barbados. It was $5. Well, maybe not $5 a gallon, maybe $2 a gallon. But the minivans were just awesome. I just said these are awesome little vehicles. You could do a lot with them. Anyways, there are so many different vehicles. There's so much product out there that you're going to start seeing in America. I think it's going to be I'm so excited. I think the next 2 years, we're going to see product that comes into this United States that you just, I know because I've seen it. I've seen the toys and the type of toys that are available in Japan. They would you want to see the toys that are really available in Japan? Go to this, and I don't even know if they're still in business. And I visited twice in San Francisco. There's a store downtown San Francisco. And it's a Japanese store, okay? And they just sell Japanese toys, okay? And oh my goodness. Oh, they had this Yamamoto battleship from Star Blazers. It was like this big, okay? For like $600. It's a custom kit. You put it together. And I said, oh, I wanted to get it so bad, okay? But all they have is all these detailed model kits, toys, ships, and figures, and it's like, oh my goodness, if this was available at Toys R Us or available at a retail stores, Hasbro would really Hasbro would go out of business because they're making the same old junk. There's no creativity at Hasbro anymore. You know what creativity is motorific. Go check out the toys that came out in the 60s. Motorific. Okay? G.I. Joe. Look at them now. Everything is so woke. You got G.I. Joe. You have Matt Mason. I had this little... I think it was 1970. Maybe it was 69. I got this for Christmas. Oh, I love this thing. And you can still find them online. And it was a little spaceman. He was about this big. You put AA batteries on the back of him, okay? And he had a motor on he sat down. And you would put him into different vehicles. And if you put him inside a vehicle, he would then move the vehicle. The vehicle would move. And there were like 3 or 4 vehicles for him. He had this little base. I remember just spending hours playing with him and his base and everything. This was in 1969. This was a plastic toy in 1969. The amount of toys, and what do they have? They have the same old. And that's why when I went to Costco, I saw all of these items that normally I didn't see at Costco. And I'm thinking, wow, now are they gearing up for a different type of product? That's what's going through my head. When I saw that bag of Japanese candy, I'm thinking, I've never seen Japanese candy in a Costco. Now, go to Costco and Sam's in Las Vegas, and you see a ton of what's that? Blimpie bakery items. The whole store is Blimpie because it's very popular in the southern states. Blimpie is everywhere. You go to Mexico, Blimpie is everywhere. They are creative. They have lots of different items, not just one item, but they have 50 items. And they're slowly coming across America. That's right. But Blimpie is all made in America. They've basically opened up bakeries all over America. Blimpie bakeries. I don't care if it's a Japanese country. Put your factory here. You know, everybody thinks, okay, well, Atlas. Atlas trains. Everything Atlas made, trains, track, everything was made in New Jersey. Everything. People tell me, oh, we can't do that in America anymore. Bull crap! We don't have the guts to do it. We don't have the, we just want to take things easy. But you go look at all these old videos. You go look at all the old retail stores. You go look at all the old factories. And you know who was in those factories back in the 60s and the 70s before they were all shut down? Grandmothers, mothers, retired. Women that really were retired, didn't have anything to do, but they wanted to do something. And they would go to these factories, and they would build things. Boys swimming in girls' sports. Yeah, that's a great idea. Companies don't want to pay the wages. Yeah, but you know how productive grandmothers were? How productive they can be? You motivate them. You give them a nice work environment. One thing chickens do when they're all together. Blah, 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 blah. When you get a bunch of women together, it's kind of like them knitting. They just start talking and they're moving faster and they're knitting and they're yapping at each other. There's one thing you can't stop, and that is a handful of women that are shackling together. That's what they do. Why do you think women, women can go into a bathroom, have 50 stalls, and it's like a convention, okay? But you take those guys into a bathroom, they want to get in and out as fast as can. That's why I always tell my boys, when I go in there, I say, no talking. Remember, men don't talk in a bathroom. You're probably saying to yourself, why is Bryan so motivated today? Well, you know what? There's two reasons. Is that I'm just motivated right now. I am very excited of what is about to hit. Okay, and I am just so excited. Now I know some people aren't. I know some people are very negative right now about all this that's going on, tariffs and everything, and I'm thinking to myself, well, you know what? So and I know this isn't a very good analogy, but I like these analogies because I'm just seeing what's going on, and there's one thing that you just don't want to do, okay? And that is you don't want to bet against America. Yes, we have our problems. Yes, we have our inner cities that are falling apart. Yes, we have crime. Yes, we have corruption, and yes, we have social issues and social unrust, and we have a two-party system that's falling apart. Yes, we have politicians that hate each other, and yes, we have one politician hates this politician and one hates that politician. But there's one thing that I'll give Gretchen Ritchen, and I don't like her as a politician or anything, but I will admit, and I've said this very many times. There's one thing that I give, even though Bill Clinton was probably the most immoral man ever in the White House, maybe next to Trump, but there's one thing that I will give Bill Clinton kudos on. He knew how to be a politician. And that is just, can we just get along here? Can we just, okay, now Newt Gingrich, I don't necessarily agree with you on that issue, but, if you can help me come on this issue, I will come on side with you on that issue. And that's exactly what he did. Bill Clinton knew how to get everybody together, okay? and let's kind of figure things. That's what happened. Okay. I'm just telling you. But one thing I would not do, and she in China is finding this out. There's one thing I would not do, and that is bet against America. I was listening to this lady. I can't think of her name. Oh, I know her name because she's familiar with another. She's a historian, and she's talked about that Japan had no chance. Even if you want to take the most dire situation, Japan had no chance of winning the war against America. Even if they destroyed Hawaii and they just obliterated it. As a matter of fact, I've got a Japanese or American $2 bill that says stamped Hawaii on it, okay? In case that it was taken over, that would be useless money, okay? There's no way Japan could have won against America. When we decided to turn our entire economy, okay, into a war machine, you might as well have just pulled up the flag immediately, okay? Now, a lot of people, and Robert Fish has brought this out. He sent me this long email on all the things America is oppressed. You know, there's one thing that we did after World War II, which has never been done in the entire history of the world. We brought everybody back to America. We left bases here and there, but we basically just said, okay, we're done fighting and we're coming home. Yes, it is and it isn't, Chucky B. I believe, and this is what I've said this many times, that from 1941 to 1942, America was transformed. Just 1 year. I'm sorry, just 1 year. Kaiser built 5 shipyards and was building Liberty ships faster than they could get them to sea. Okay. So yes, is America as strong as it was? No. Can it be? Yes. The history of slot car up till 1970 was a microcosm of everything that went wrong in the U.S. It boomed, it crashed, it got crushed. No, I would disagree with most Tip Top Cat. Okay, the problem with, okay, so here's the history of slot cars. Okay, so we're talking slot cars. Obviously, we're talking slot cars now. So the history of slot cars. Let me give you the history of slot cars from the beginning to the end. So you're gonna get the history of slot cars from the beginning to the end, and I'm gonna tell you why they failed in the 60s and why the resurrection of slot cars didn't necessarily take, and why I can't find my wooden seat that I could sit on. So I guess I won't be able to sit on seats. Okay. So I'm down the 130 aisle. I'm down the 130 aisle. I'm down the 132nd aisle. Okay. So, slot cars in America really started with Aurora, obviously, but they also were 132nd with Scale Electric. They were making slot car tracks out of B-29 bombers in England. They needed to use all this raw material, war surplus, and so they were making tracks out of tires. I saw a set in Chicago. A guy had a collection, and he brought me a set. I set it on the table, said Scale Electric, and we opened it up, and you took the track, you looked on the other side, and it had rubber tires on it. You could see that it was a tire at one time, but it was a curved track. So, you know, people tell me, well, no, that's not true, Brian. Well, I'm sorry, I saw one. You know, you can say what you want, but, you know, those were, and they just had metal rails, just a single little rail. And then they kind of evolved, and then you had the expansion of HO in America, and then you had 132nd that we got so big. You know, 132nd was so huge in America that Sears Roebuck had over 500 items in their catalog. You had them in Montgomery Ward's. You had them everywhere. They were in the movies. They were in the James Bond movie, Casino Royale with David Nivens. Scale Electric had a huge race set in that movie. You had Batman, the TV series. Bruce Wayne had a huge 8-lane track in the Bruce Wayne manor, the mansion. They were racing slot cars. Alfred, his aunt, Robin, and Batman, they all were racing on this huge 132nd track. Then what happened was you had all of the enthusiasts, okay? And I hate to pick on the enthusiasts, but the enthusiasts drove away the novice from the hobby, and it literally evaporated in 10 years. Okay, a lot of your main companies in the 1970s just evaporated. Now, a lot of that had to do with licensing. See, a lot of these companies in the 60s had to pay no licensing fees on anything they made. The companies were coming to them. Hey, will you make a slot car of our car? Yeah, we'll make it. Yeah, no problem. And there wasn't any fees. There were there was no quotas. There was no minimums. You just made, you know, it promoted your product. Goodness gracious. Then you had the same thing with Aurora. The problem with Aurora, and I know people don't disagree with me on this, but I'm telling you, I've been in the manufacturing. I know what buyers can do to something. You get a stupid buyer with a company like Toys R Us. You get a stupid buyer with Toys R Us, or a stupid buyer from Sears or J.C. Penney's or Walmart. You get a dumb Walmart buyer saying, "Hey, we want this set, and we want it to be loops, and we want it to be this and that, and we'll buy it. We'll buy 600,000 of them." You end up buying, yes, and I'll explain why Aurora died overnight. You get 600,000 sets, and then all of a sudden everybody returns the sets. Is Walmart taking the hit on that? No, Walmart's not taking the hit. They're going right back to Aurora and saying, "Hey, Aurora, those 600,000 sets, we had a lot of returns. But we made it. Well, you know, if you want us to buy more stuff from you, you're going to have to give us a credit." And so they would have to take a hit. It's called a chargeback. So if they were going to buy $1 million next year, they'd want a chargeback of 200,000. So they're only going to pay 800,000 for $1 million worth of product for the next year. Happens all the time. Why do you think Amazon never loses? Amazon doesn't lose a single dime on returns. So if you send something back to Amazon, Amazon's not taking the hit. Are you kidding me? They're not losing a single penny. Not even the return shipping. They're charging that to the manufacturer that shipped it to Amazon. All the retailers are like that. So Aurora had all these stupid ideas, all these dumb products, like what's that one, Super 5, or what's that one line they came out with called the Super 5? They were trying to come up with something that was similar to the TS Total Control Racing, which was a flop because they didn't do enough of them. And you come up with all this product. You have all the development. You have all the costs. You put all this money into this. You should just focus on what you love, and that is slot cars. Here's a prime example of an item, and this is made in Spain. This was made in Spain in the 1970s. Okay, this is a typical product. This is a typical product. This is a typical slot car. Very simple mechanics. This was made in Spain. It doesn't tell me what year it was made. I thought these were in the 80s or the 70s. But this is retro tech. So this was molded in Spain. Okay, look at that. Made in Spain. The motor, probably the motor's imported from China. Now they could have made it in Spain. Okay. But this whole car, okay, was molded and painted in Spain. Okay. They could make this again. This car would sell right now if they made this new with new tires. They could make this car right now. Whole line of these cars in Spain right now. They choose not to. They could make this in America. If somebody really had the I hate to say this, the balls, they could do it. And so what happened with Aurora is they had all these, what was that called? The Action 5. What was that line that Aurora came out with to compete with Total Control Racing? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? That Ultra 5 or something. You know which one I'm talking about? You know which one I'm talking about by Aurora? Was it Ultra 5? Ultra 5, was it Ultra 5? I think it's called Ultra 5. Didn't sell a penny of it. And all that was when Bob Haynes bought Ultra 5. Yeah, Ultra 5. Yeah, oh boy, that was a doozy. And so when Bob Haynes bought Aurora, he bought a whole warehouse full of Ultra 5. It was a stupid idea. And so they spent all this money. They spent all the inventory to buy it, or the money to buy it, okay? And nobody wanted it. All your stores, they got the sets, nobody wanted it. And so what do? You have to absorb that loss. That's why when I talk to a lot of these companies, I told Auto World, I was talking with Craig. I told Craig, I said, Craig, please don't do any more 132nd. Just stop right now. Just close out 132nd and concentrate more on HO. And I don't know if he listened to me, but he stopped making. They didn't do any more 132nd, and so they just did what was most popular, and that was HO. A lot of these companies, they get, and the same thing happened with Technotoys. When I was with Technotoys, I don't know if I have a car here, a Technotoy car. Doesn't look like I have a Technotoy car here. But I was with Technotoy, and the CEO had this great idea. They wanted to do this thing that Carrera did. They wanted to include Legos with racing, where kids would then build things. They don't want to do that. Kids don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They just want to race. And so we decided to come out with these 1/43 sets, and they were basically just cheap knockoff Chinese Legos. And they thought that this line was going to be the oh my goodness. They invested $1 million, I think, or $500,000 into these Lego systems that just bombed like crazy. Just bombed. And we lost, and that's why Technotoys North America went out of business, because the CEO was embezzling money, spending money that he shouldn't even spend on things that have nothing to do with slot cars. There are my grandsons in their little Look at them. Look at how cute they are. Look at that. They're just hanging there in their little thingamajiggy, and then you got Mac. Got Mac. What's Mac done? Oh, he's at the park. No, that's Larry. What's Larry doing? Here, we can see those who is, and it will be the most. Oh yes, that is Larry. Larry is climbing this slide. Oh my gosh, he's already starting to climb. Once he learns how to walk, it's amazing about babies. Once they learn how to walk, you might as well kiss it all goodbye. They are, and so, the slot car industry has evolved into things that, they started in one thing, and it's evolved into something else, okay? And it's like a balance, okay? How detailed do you want your car to be and still be affordable, okay? Or do you want just a nice plain car, or do you want it to have electronics? Do you want lights, rear lights, front lights? Do you want to have lights inside? Do you want to have the guy wave to you? I mean, do you want to have the guy talk to you as he's driving? Where do you draw the line on detail in your car, okay? And a lot of these companies have gone way too far, and now they've priced a lot of their regular customers out of the market. They've just priced them completely out of the market, okay? And that's what Aurora did. Aurora was making items that just didn't have any purpose to them. They, Ultra 5, useless, okay? You were coming out with a new chassis every day. And you're right. AFX, where does it end? AFX cars now are about $50 if you're gonna, pay, if you got to make any money, you're talking $50. Okay. Well, is this car worth $50? That's the question. Now, some people, yeah, I want that car, so I'm going to spend $50. But if you're buying a collection, is this sustainable for your company? Okay. And yes, all the old cars. This is nice detail. That's a nice detail car. Okay. Even these cars, these are nice cars. But again, it's realism. How realistic do you want? Do you want to get it to the point where if you took a picture of this on a real diorama, that person would look at it and go, is that real or not? That's where you're at, okay? And do we want to go there? And are people willing? Is everybody willing to pay for that? Okay. And that unfortunately is the $1 million question. You can't, let's see, you can't see the door handles when you're going around. No, you can't. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Okay. No word on the tanker. I called them yesterday or sent messages yesterday. No word on the tanker. But it's how much detail do you want to get in your car? Okay. How much detail do you want to experience? Okay. Like, for example, I can take, do we sell car number 4 of my Mayflower? No. Okay. So you take my Mayflower, for example, which I love to show this vehicle because I think it's beautiful. But if you take that and you really look at that, that's plenty enough detail. I mean, that is really nice. That looks nice. Now, could you go even higher on the? Yeah, you could. Where do you want to stop in the price? Okay. I want this Mayflower because I think this is really awesome as a slot car. And I want to race these around the track because that's what it's a toy, guys. It's just a toy. Okay. It's just a toy. And do you want to have one of these toys? Yeah, everybody does. Okay.
Danny
What?
said if we need to reorder more of those car lifts, we can.
Okay.
Because he doesn't know where they are. He said ask you or ask Mac. I'm waiting for Mac to get here.
Car lifts.
Yeah, it's a 3D printed one.
Well, they would have been one of those trays. Check all the trays. They're above where you work. They're in their little box. They might have been in a little box. So what I'm getting at is that these cars, no wonder Buzz Lightyear has issues. He's not just a toy. You're a toy. Good morning, PTT fans. So, it's where do you want, and this is what happened in the 60s, okay, with 132nd, is that the cars were getting so expensive that a lot of your novice just said, you know what, this is too expensive, and a lot of your enthusiasts were saying, well, no, you can't do that unless you have this type. Oh, you need this type of tire, or you can't race, or you need this tire, or no, you're not very good. Why? And so they kind of diminished the person that was racing, the novice. And I've always said the novice is the future. And if you discourage the novice in racing or just having fun, then you will destroy your market. Okay, and the slot car industry has to balance. Okay, well, this is a toy, number one. Okay, this is a hobby. Okay, number one, this is a hobby. Okay, and where are we trying to? This is this car. When I was 11 years old, 12 years old, I was 12 years old. And I was going to Franklin Park Mall, the hobby center, after I would make, $10 mowing a yard. I would go and buy a brand new Thunderjet in a little square plastic container with foam plastic ends on it. And they sold those cars for $7.99. And they probably were making them in China or I know in Hong Kong. A lot of the cars were made in Hong Kong back in the 70s. They were probably making those cars for $1 a piece, maybe $2. And Aurora was getting them for about $1, $2. So they were making basically $1, $2 profit. And they were selling to the retailers for about $4 or maybe $3. And they're selling to the retailers, and the retailers were selling for like $7.99, $6.99. Those are true numbers, people. Those aren't made. I'm not just making up numbers because 20 years later with Irwin Toy, we were looking at cars that cost us, $6 in China. Manufacturer probably making them for $3, selling them for $6, and these are 132nd cars. And we were getting them for $6, selling them for $13 to $14 to our retailer. Retailers were selling them for anywhere from $19 to $23. Those are the numbers, okay? And but you have to look at a price. Okay, where can I go? How far can I go without just destroying my customer base? And a lot of retailers don't know how to balance that. They really don't. They have no clue of how to balance retail with their customers. And comic books, I was in comic books and boy, they found that out really fast because comic books, so I started comic books in 1988. I got in The Killing Joke. It was a graphic novel. I got 50 of them in. And I sold, and that's the only one I got because I ordered it from my magazine distributor. I said, you got The Killing Joke? And he goes, yeah. I said, I'll take 50 of them. And they sent me 50 of them. And I sold them out like in the first week. And I said, I need to get comic books. Okay. And so I started getting comic books, but they were the old style comic book, newsprint type of magazine. Retailer consumers loved them. They read them because the stories were good. The art was good. They had fun reading them. Then all of a sudden, Todd McFarlane really destroyed comic books. I would say him is one of them that really destroyed comic books, Todd McFarlane. He thought that he was the greatest thing on earth, and he ended up destroying comic books. Comic books went from about $1, okay, to $5, $6, and you had two main distributors, DC and Marvel, and you had two main distributors in the United States. You had Capital City Distributors, and you had what was the other company? I can't think of the other companies, but anyways, all of a sudden Marvel said we're going to do our own distributing, and so they cut out Capital City. Capital City had to go out of business. They had just invested like millions of dollars into a computer system. All of a sudden, half their business was gone. Capital City. They had distributors all over the United States. It's gone. They were gone in 1 year. It was really sad what happened to Capital City Distribution. And all of a sudden, Marvel said, we're going to be our own distributor. Well, that didn't last too long. And then all of a sudden, DC decided to have their own distributor. And then within 2 years, Capital City was completely gone. They had just invested millions of dollars in this new computer system that was going to do their inventory. Gone. It's really sad what happened with Capital City. Nice company too. And so comic books, had this, and then comic books, they were making normally 1 million comics or 500,000. All of a sudden they were making 2 or 3 million comics. The value of the comics just died. And that's the same thing, but we're not even close to 1 million. There's only 1,000 of these made. Okay. It's not like that we've oversaturated any market. Even these cars over here, even these cars. So even this Ford Thunderbolt, that there were only 100 made of these original Thunderbolts. So of this Thunderbolt, there's only been at max of this car right here, max. Okay. Let me get into perspective here. I got to really, so you guys really understand the numbers. Okay. because if you don't understand these numbers, you are sadly mistaken, okay? So I'm coming down here. So I am right here in what you call the Tyco aisle, okay? Now, I'm looking at Tyco, okay? And I'm going to grab a car. We'll take this for example, okay? So they made probably, if I had to say, at a high end, probably about 14,000 of these cars at the high end. At the low end, maybe 10,000. Okay. Just so you know. So that's the Thunderbolt. This is a Tyco Canadian version of the El Renault, and it's a 440. Okay. Just on a rough guess, how many do you think they made of just this car? Does anybody have any guess how much you think they might have made of this car? I can hear a gay lisp in his voice. Well, that's because of my denture. $20,000, $50,000. Okay, you're 4 million. Okay, so Snuggles is closer. All right, so when at 100,000, okay, that's a little low. So it's not 4 million, but it's not 100,000. Okay, when Bob Haynes of REH bought all of Tyco back in 1999 or 2000, it's only 24 years ago. He bought everything that was in their warehouse. Okay. He said he bought over 1 million cars that were sitting in the warehouse. Of this car right here, he had over, I think it was maybe 100 to 200 boxes. Okay. there were 400 cars to a box. Okay, bulk. This is how they come. This is how they come in that box. There are 400 to a box, and they come like this. They're all wrapped up. Okay, all like this. They're individually wrapped in China, and they're all wrapped up individually. There were 400 to a box. Okay, and he had over 100 boxes. Okay. Over 100 boxes. And that's just one car. He had.
Can you grab me a 22103, please?
22103. Okay, so that is a
McLaren
22103. That is, somebody just bought a 104.
I'm gonna have to fix those up.
That's a 104. That's a 103. So that's a 103. What's that? That's a 104. So, what I'm telling you is that the amount of cars that they're making today is not even a drop in the bucket of how many of these they made. And the same thing with the old Tyco cars, or the old AFX cars. Okay. I mean, he bought just, as a matter of fact, maybe my number's wrong, because I know that he had at least 1 million of these cars. See, when Mattel would make something, they would make millions of them because they wanted to have the price so low, the cost was nothing, because they were selling so many to Toys R Us, to all the different department store chains in the 70s or in the 80s and 90s. It didn't matter. Just remember that Mattel only had Tyco for 3 years. 1997, 98, 99. That's it. And by 2000, they did away with the entire division. You don't believe me? Well, I hate to prove you wrong. And this is one of the items that did Tyco away. There's their cruising. They made millions of these, at least 2 million of these cars, at least 2 million. And this was made in 1998. I know that might sound forever, or might sound like 1 million years ago, but to me, it just was yesterday, because I was with Irwin Toy at the time. Okay, and I was selling Irwin Toys. I was selling Scalextric sets to hobby retailers, and Tyco was being discontinued by Mattel the following year in 1999. And by the end of 1999, Mattel, after spending, I don't know how much they spent, $500,000 for Tyco Industries, did away with it. Just bought it and just, we're done. We're done. And that's how fast they dumped the line. Because this is Tyco Industry. This is Tyco Industry 1991. Look at this, Tyco Industry 1991. Before Mattel had any touch to it. This was all Tyco Industry. I'm just giving you the facts, guys. I like telling this to people because slot cars is such an expansive hobby. There is no limit to what you can do with slot cars. And I'm showing you that with the 4x4 layout, is by doing all these videos on showing you the 4x4 layout. So would you say slot cars peaked in the early 70s? Yes. Early 70s is when it hit its peak. And AFX is still, no, AFX is not here. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Snuggles. I know that you're you're not into AFX. You're into Racemaster slot cars. Okay, they are not AFX as defined in Aurora. That's the distinction you need to understand. Okay, AFX has had 3 variants over the time from they went Aurora to Tomy to Racemasters, because the Tomy chassis, I think they took all those down to the warehouse, because I can't show you them. Yep, they took them all down to the warehouse. Because I have a Tomy turbo chassis, which is the standard, which they made. I remember going into REH, and she had 100 boxes of 100 chassis. Okay, actually 200 chassis in 100 boxes of just bulk chassis they got from Tomy. And so when you're looking at, so in the 70s, Racemasters is yes, it's its own company. It is completely separate than now. It became its own company just 2 years ago. It was still controlled by Tomy until about 2 years ago, when they wanted to just disinvolve with Racemaster completely, and they sold everything to Racemaster. And that's Steve's dad that started. Rick Russell started it back in. And Rick Russell worked for Aurora back in the 70s. Now, yes, it peaked. It peaked in the 1970s, but you still had a lot of department stores that was, but at least they survived in here many intersections. The history is so confusing, it's ruined. Just give up. AFX bodies fit extractions and race. I mean, really, seriously, a lot of your cars will fit on certain bodies, because the bodies of an AFX will fit on some extraction chassis. Matter of fact, 90%. Okay, and now they are sought after by Viper, BSR, and others. Best chassis. Right. Yes. I'll give you. Okay, fine. They're the greatest chassis. There. You're happy. All right. Now I don't want to hear about it anymore. All right. Everybody wants to be the best. Okay. But you know what? Where is your price point going to be? Are these prices going to be $100? You'll never sell these cars at $100. If they get close to $100, you might as well kiss the market goodbye. That's my opinion. There's no reason for those cars to be $50, period. Unless you've got a pricing structure problem or a pricing problem to begin with. There's no way that they're a $50 car. You're not going to get your average customer. Now you might get your enthusiasts, you might get your average sales, but if you want to keep to be in a 2 or 3,000 print run, then that's what you have to be. The only way that this industry is going to lower the prices and to become more available to the bulk customers of America is that you have to make 2 million cars. Now you've taken this car, just to give you an example. So let's take an example. All right, so let's say Auto World gets an order from Walmart. We want to buy a pallet program for you for every one of our stores. So let's just take this for example. Hey Siri, how many Walmart stores are there? 4,000 stores. Okay, so let's take let's just take a pallet program. So there's 4,000 stores. 4,000. Let's just say 5,000. Let's just round the number up. 5,000 times, let's say the pallet program, they're going to put 3, 6, 12, let's say 24 sets to a, let's just play the numbers here. 24 sets to a pallet program, all right? So that's 120,000 sets. Okay, that's on a low number, okay? So that's just 24 sets, okay? So Auto World goes to their factory, says, hey, we want 120, instead of 10,000 sets, we want 150,000 sets, okay? Now, if all of a sudden Walmart sells them, and then let's say Target gets them, and then let's say some other department, now you're running 500,000 sets. This car used to cost maybe $4. Now it's only going to cost you $2 because you've just now doubled your numbers, okay? And this is what I get argument with Snuggles all the time. You know, he thinks that Elon Musk and the Falcon 9 are junk and that NASA is really the smarter one. And I keep saying, you know, just recently, you know, Falcon 9, they've lost, I don't know how many, 6 or 7. Well, you think they're the thing of the future. See, I know you like the CAN motors. I know you like the armature motors, okay? And that could be true, okay? That could be true. There are a lot of people that don't like those. And that's all you have to understand, is that there's people that don't, okay? And unless you accept that, you're closed-minded. Just like rockets. Okay, NASA couldn't launch a rocket if they stuck it on their butt, okay? And so I just watched a Falcon 9, I think they just launched 3 in the last 4 days, it seems like. And they just launched another one and it landed right back on the pad. Well, they just saved $60 million. Just saved another $60 million. Every time they launch a rocket, they land it. Well, they just saved $60 million. How much money do you think they're saving every time they launch a rocket and they land how much money have they saved? They could do that all day long and save millions of dollars. All they have to do is launch it again. Hey, let's bring it back over here. Let's fix up what's wrong with it. Okay, let's paint this up. Let's get that new motor put in. Let's redo that motor. Okay, let's go. Let's get it ready for launch again. Let's load her up. And that's what Elon Musk told them a long time ago. Why are you guys? Because nobody was thinking about saving money. And that's the problem with government. They don't think about saving money sometimes. Sometimes they do. I was watching a video last night about the military pen, and I'd totally forgotten about it being in the Navy. We went through millions of the pens, but they were a special pen. This pen was supposed to do everything. Auto World needs to make a motor smaller for the AMP chassis or like the AFX or Dash. And they probably are. Okay? I personally don't think, my opinion, here's my opinion. I'm going to just tell you right here. You're going to get my opinion, and I don't think that Auto World should invest in any new technology. They should take old technology and make it better. Okay. I personally don't think they should do away. Their Thunderjet chassis is the most popular chassis. They sell more of those than anybody else. People love those chassis. I would improve on their AMP or their Thunderjet chassis. That's what I would do. I would improve on their extraction chassis. And tolerances. I would make better tolerances. I would make better tolerances for their 4-gear. Those are the 3 most popular cars that Aurora made ever. Was the Xavier or Tyson? Come here. Hey, you got to remember to leave that car here at night, okay? Just in case of incidents, it needs to be parked on my property. Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how are you doing the rest of this week? You still doing that?
Yeah.
How are you doing the rest of this week?
Pretty good. I don't got any deliveries today. I just gotta go to the dump and dump some beds.
Some what?
Some beds. I have to throw away the old beds.
Oh.
Yeah. That's all I gotta do today. And then, yeah, I'll probably be dumping beds for the rest of the week because I don't think we have any more deliveries for the rest of the week.
Well, he said he sold one.
Oh, then I might have one tomorrow.
Autoworld needs to produce new bodies. Thunderjets all the way, love them. Right. You know, so this is what I'm talking about. So, Snuggles loves the cam motors. Okay. You're never going to, he's an engineer. He likes the cam motors. Okay. That you're never going to change him from that. Okay. And you're never going to change the person that likes the Thunderjet chassis. Basically, the Thunderjet chassis started it all. Okay. Well, I mean, you had the vibrators, but nobody liked the vibrators because it was really an AC system. So Thunderjets were all through the 60s. All right. From 61 all the way to 7. That's 10 years of cars making thousands and thousands, millions of cars. They were probably making millions of bodies, okay, as fast as they could in Indonesia and in Hong Kong. They probably were telling the factory, just make 10 million. Make 10 million chassis. Just have them sitting there. And that's what Autoworld should do. Autoworld should just say, hey, make 10 million chassis. How much can we get 10 million chassis? Invest in chassis. Just tell them, make 10 million chassis. How many 10 million chassis? We don't want chassis based on oil. We want to invest in chassis. Give us 10 million chassis. How much? If you order 10 million, we can let's see, we'll get those to you for 50 cents a piece. How about that? Because there's only 25 cents in materials in that plastic and the metals in that car. You've got 50 cents maximum in parts and in raw materials. Yeah, we'll give it to you for 75 cents if you buy 10 million. Now, they're not going to do that, Autoworld, because they're not, you know, and I'm not necessarily knocking Autoworld. I'm knocking all these companies. They're not looking at the future. They're not looking in the future. They're not looking at the long-term investment, okay? And that's what they're not looking at, okay? And that's a problem a lot of times. Never got the future on Snuggles never got the figures on the Tyco elf body produced. Oh, well, I told you it's going to be between 4 million, okay, and probably 2 million. But I would probably land on at least 2 million plus of these that were made on all the cars, okay. And Tyco Industry, this was before Mattel. So when Mattel was doing these, they were probably doing 2 to 3 million cars easy, okay. So that's why there are so many of these around. I have right now of this chassis, of this car right here, I have about 200. I'll never sell all these. I'll never sell them, okay? Because we don't have the demand yet. Because Walmart, okay, do you understand? So Snuggles lives in Connecticut. And so in 1980, I was living in Connecticut, okay, in 1980. So in 1980, there were about 4 to 5 department store chains in the Connecticut, New England area. Now, do you know all 5 of them, Snuggles? I know 4 of them. First of all, you had Bradley's, which was part of Stop and Shop. That's 1. You had Caldor's, which was 2. You had Kmart, which was nationwide, but Caldor's and Bradley's was a part of separate department store chains. Caldors was everywhere in New England. Then you had Zayre's. Okay, Zayre's department store chain was all over New England. Probably between those three chains, you might have had 500 stores maybe in New England, 500 department store chains. Well, Stop and Shop owned Bradley's, okay? And A&P was just a department store or just a grocery store, not a department store. I'm talking department store chains. And Bradley was owned by Stop and Shop. And Caldors was owned by themselves. They're no longer in business. Both those in the late 90s were all gone, okay? I worked at Zayre's. Yep, Zayre's. And then here in Ohio, we had 3 department store chains that were popular in Ohio. You had Hart's, and we had Hart's and Hills department store chain. So my question to you is, okay, so we had Hills and Hart's that were all over Ohio. Why all of a sudden did those businesses go out of business so fast? Are you saying that Walmart was that great that they just came in and they literally destroyed every department store chain in the country? That's what you're saying. Okay. Hey Siri, how many stores did Hills department store have? Hey Siri, how many Hills department stores were there? Hey Siri, how many Caldors department stores were there? Hey Siri. Hey Siri, how many Hills department stores were there? Hey Siri, how many Hart's department stores were there? (1954), Hart's started in Ohio. 128 locations. Ontario. He started in Ontario. So, what I'm getting at is that there's only 3 main, there's only really, well, you could say 4, but 2 main nationwide department store chains and 1 regional major department store chain, and that is Myers is regional, but they're big in the Northwest, okay? And then you have other regional department store chains around the country, but you know, how is Myers staying in business and all these other companies went out of business when Walmart started to? I mean, you had Kmart. Well, that's a long story on how that guy got screwed up. But what I'm getting at is that if we're going to have a slot car boom, it's going to take a major department store chain to make a commitment into slot cars in their toy department. That's all there is to it. And Hobby Lobby is only but a fraction of what could possibly be sold to the consumer, because Hobby Lobby, I'm not diminishing Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby has over 1,500 locations. They are nationwide, but they don't necessarily have the foot traffic that Walmart has. Now they have a foot traffic. I don't want to diminish their foot traffic, but their foot traffic is nothing compared to Walmart's foot traffic and the mass production or the mass exposure to the consumer, okay? And it would take a pallet program of just sets and cars in a Walmart to all of a sudden, and sets selling for $59, $69, $79, and cars selling for, Walmart's not going to sell them for more than $20. They'll probably be $17.99, $18.99. And Walmart would be buying the cars for, they might get them for $10 maybe. And Auto World is probably going to be able to get them for $5 a piece, maybe $4 a piece if they're buying 200,000, maybe 300,000 or 400,000. Then you combine that every year, a new set. Now you've got a new set every year, 200,000. Now, after 10, 15 years, you've sold 10 to 12 million cars. I mean, it's ridiculous, the amount of product that went through these stores. And that's all I say about, we're in a boom town right now. You wait. You wait what's going to happen in the next 6 months. Oh my goodness gracious. There is going to be so much new product that's going to be selling into our retail stores. And we are so excited. If you want to get some great stuff, just go to ProTinkerToys.com. We've got model kits that are going to be going, some of the older model kits we're going to be putting those on sale. We've got some newer model kits that are going to be putting on sale. We've got a ton of RC. I have plenty of RC for this Christmas. We are stocked up. We are ready to go. And nothing's going to be in price increase. None of this stuff. We are going to none of this stuff we're going to increase the price on. Everything that's in this store right now, we are not increasing any of the price. I don't need to. Uh-oh, I just dropped that. Now, I was going to go an hour. I've got to get home because I remembered I wasn't supposed to be here. I was supposed to be watching the boys. Yeah. And Mac Henry's talking to Daniel. And Mac Henry is becoming very obstinate right now.
Obstinate. That's a big word.
I know it is. And so I'm going to have to sign off early. And so here's what's going on today, guys. So around 5 o'clock, we're going to do a live stream because Tim, my brother, is coming again for race night and auction and a painting night. We're going to have a painting. We're going to have one car for him to paint. And it's going to his paint, whatever he wants to do. And we're going to auction that car off that night, okay? And it's going to go to the Bryan Young charity. I'm starting a brand new charity. It's called the Bryan Young Frankie Charity, okay? It's to help Frankie to lose weight. We're going to start a lose weight Frankie thingamajiggy. And so we're going to, I don't know what I'm doing with the car. Tim's coming with an attitude. He's said that he's not painting it. Boo. Well, that's not necessarily true, Chucky B. Money talks. Okay. Cool. Social night is your most entertaining product. He better stay on his freedom train. That's right. We've got new cars coming. 404. We should be having those cars next week. We're going to be showing pictures. I'm going to be printing them off. I'm doing a live stream in which I'm going to show all the cars off on Friday. And I might do one later today. And 404 and 415, okay? Those are brand new, and they are shipping right now. You want to get them on order right now. Is Mike from Boca Raton, Florida? I will not buy any Testers paints. I think so. No pizza dipping. Yes, I'm going to get pizza, and I'm going to be dipping Coke and pizza together. Any word on the golf semi? No word on the golf semi. Let me double check to see if I got an email while I've been doing the live stream. Okay, so we got Bryan Young here. Okay, FedEx. Nope. Nope, 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 no, 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 no. No update yet on the Golf Tanker. In 71, Aurora slot guides were $3 to $5. Yes, I know they were because I used to go to the Hobby Center in Toledo, Ohio at the Franklin Park Mall for $5. Okay. Some of them, yeah, the old Tyco, the old Thunderjets were $2. They were cheaper then. And so figure this out. So they were selling, let's just say $5 as a happy number. So they were selling the cars for $5. That means the retailer was probably getting them for $2.50. Okay. So they were getting the cars for $2.50. The distributor, okay, if there was a distributor, they were buying them from the manufacturer, from Aurora, for $1.25 maybe. Okay, remember these numbers. So they were buying the cars for $1.25 from Aurora. Aurora probably was paying about 65 cents a car from the manufacturer in their factory. Now they probably had their own factory, but they were in Hong Kong. So they were at a factory in Hong Kong, and they were probably paying 75 cents, or not 75. They were probably paying 62 cents, 65 and a half. Yeah, 65 and a half cents for car, and then it cost them probably 25 cents in materials. I mean, think about it. So that's the pricing structure. A lot of people don't know the pricing structure. You have to understand the pricing structure. You have to understand what is the cost of an item, where does the cost break down, how does it break down, and how many can I get if I'm going to do it. I was paying $1.99 for raw at Bargain City. See, the Bargain City, that's another store that was in Ohio. Bargain City was everywhere. I worked at Bargain City in 1977. I got fired from that store. Okay? Bargain City was everywhere in Ohio. That's another store. How did Bargain City go out of business? Mismanagement, something. Paid $1.99 for Aurora at Bargain City and $2.99 for trucks. So that was what was that, James Dean? When did you go to James Dean, where did you live for Bargain City? Because Bargain City is from Ohio. Where in Ohio were you living at Bargain City? Because there was a Bargain City in Bowling Green, Ohio. I worked there in 1978 or 79 or 77. I got fired from there in 77 for giving a small piece of glass to a customer. I think they just wanted to get rid. 1971 in Maumee. Oh, that's right. They did have one in Maumee. Holy cow. Man, that's 71. I still lived, I lived in Maumee, in Franklin Park Mall. I moved there in 1970. I moved to Franklin Park Mall in Maumee. Bargain City. Great place. Sold a ton of panel. Old-fashioned paneling. Okay. All right. So I've got to get home because Frank and David are all by themselves. They're probably eating and watching all sorts of videos they're not supposed to be watching. I don't understand how there can be homeschooled and they're learning anything. I don't think Frankie's learning a thing. Trying to tell my wife that is like starting up a cat fight. I don't know what to do. Anyway, so you want to check out all the things that we have at Bryan's Bargains. Bryan's Bargains, we have a ton of Bryan's Bargains. These are the best bargains without necessarily giving a huge discount. We appreciate people buying things from my store, like just picking up a nice race set for Christmas. Just do your Christmas shopping now, because I tell you, if you don't get it now, you're not going to get it at Christmas.
That's a fact.
So you want to get it now, because we are fully stocked at ProTinkerToys.com. All right, we are fully stocked. We are so fully stocked. I'm solely fully stocked of stocked stuff. Okay, and you can get this Race Masters AFX set right now at ProTinkerToys.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell button, and we will see you later.
The button's right there or there. And there's
What are you doing?
52 people watching, 31 likes. I'm trying to help you out.
Do you
Have a
realize,
good day.
Mac Henry, that I can only take you so long? You do realize that, right?
Yeah. Kmart caused Bargain City to lose out.
And then now look at Kmart. It's gone, right? And that was out of Detroit. I know you can only stand me so much, but you know what this tests? This tests your Christian resilience, right? I mean, some Christians had to like do that in the Colosseum, you know, prove their faith, prove their belief in God. Yours is dealing with me. You don't
not
have
even funny.
You
Why
have
would
you
you
don't
even
have to
say
fight
that?
the lions, right? You don't have to like be in front of a firing squad. You just have to deal with me, which, you know, some may say is just as hard.
Look at this. Oh, we got to get that
Oh,
printed
that's a
out.
good
Oh my
one.
guys, look at that. Look at we got the cartoon version of Larry and Samuel.
There you go. That's good stuff.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's my grandsons, Larry and Samuel. Holy cow, are they going to be bullets? Oh my gosh. I got to print that up. I'm going to get those printed up. I'm going to get those printed up. Look at that picture. Holy cow. Those are cute. Don't those look cute? Look at them. Look at Samuel and Daniel and Larry. Larry and Samuel. Larry and Samuel. Look at that picture. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at him. Then you got this fat one over here. Look at this fat one, right? Look at that one. Oh, fat little babies. Oh my gosh. Oh, fat little babies. Yeah, fat little America. Fat little gringos. Fat little gringos. Yeah, Mandy, you need to get your kids a picture like this. They look like their brother. Man, that is so cute looking. Man. Okay, so we've got some great deals going on right now. Bryan's Bargains. Want to thank everybody for watching our live stream. I've got to get home because I've got to make sure Frankie and David aren't doing things they're not supposed to be doing. I got to check to see how many cheese hot dogs are left because I do you know how many he ate in one sitting? I bought these cheese hot dogs on Tuesday.
Really?
Cheese hot dogs. Okay, you get 8 to a box. Frankie, and I'm thinking, who ate that? Because all of a sudden, I just bought them the night before, and 4 of them are missing. I guess he says 5, and I'm thinking, how could you eat 5 at one sitting? The serving size on the package says 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, maybe 2. I'll give you 2. But I told him, all 4 of them are gone. He goes, and David and Frankie both go, Xavier did it, not me.
Yeah, was it you, Xavier?
I had some, yeah.
Some. He had some.
The question was, how many did you have?
I had 2.
Okay, you had more than 2.
2, 3.
You had 4.
Yeah.
You had 4.
4 of them?
I-
That had any sense. You know how many calories that is?
No, and see what this has happened because he's 23 and I was 23. You know, I was eating just like that. One of these days, he's going to start turning out to be a roly-poly. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta watch your calorie count, bro.
No, and I now he's not going to eat any now because I complain. Now I bought a bunch of bologna too.
Yeah.
Okay, for him because I know he likes
Hey,
bologna.
real quick, we've
What?
got.
I know. I already sent emails on them. I'm going to cancel them tomorrow.
Okay, well tonight's race night.
I know. I am. I'm going to be telling them. I already sent emails. I'm going to tell them all tomorrow tonight.
All right,
We
okay.
had one person pay for their election.
Yeah, that was